The topic of Christian nationalism is back in the news, and it's partly because of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's partly because of something that I said. So let's talk about this. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm being attacked by the godless left because I said I'm a proud Christian nationalist. These evil people are even calling me a Nazi because I proudly love my country and my God. Now, here's Marjorie Taylor Greene doing something that conservatives and Republicans do not often do. The left comes up with a phrase, Christian nationalism, and they start using it as an insult, as a slur. And typically, Republicans run away from the phrase, oh, we're not that, no, no, no. But Marjorie Taylor Greene pulled a fast one on them by basically saying, Christian nationalism, well, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'm a Christian, I'm a nationalist, so I guess I'm putting the two together, I'm a Christian nationalist. Now, the left, of course, yes, the moment that she used that phrase, started saying, she's a Nazi, she's a Nazi. And, of course, the Nazis were not Christian nationalists. In fact, the Nazis were the opposite. They were godless nationalists. And as I've shown in books like The Big Lie, a book that you should read if you don't have it yet, it's available on Amazon, get it. It explores the deep history of fascism and Nazism, and it shows that Nazism is really the sort of ideological ancestry of the left. Now, the left started with a kind of universalism, but their socialism quickly became nationalistic. In fact, even in Russia, Stalin's socialism quickly became National Socialism. And of course, Castro's socialism was National Socialism anchored in Cuba. Maduro and Chavez's socialism is Venezuelan socialism. So these are all National Socialists. And so there's a kinship, and as I said, an ancestry, a kind of line of descent from fascism and Nazism. We're talking here about early Nazism, not the Nazism of the Holocaust, and the modern left. But the left is trying to escape, if you will, the fascist and Nazi connection foisted on the right. So they're pretending Hitler was a Christian nationalist. Hitler never called himself that, but he did call himself a National Socialist. Now, my tweet in response to all this was, Christian nationalism is good and healthy because Christianity redeems nationalism and gives it a gentler, more humane, and more universal thrust. And then I made the observation that I just made a moment ago. The Nazis represented godless nationalism, which is the foundation of socialist and secular tyrannies everywhere. But let me clarify the first part of what I say here. Why is Christian nationalism good and healthy? Because Christianity, in its core, is not nationalistic. Christ didn't come to save America, and Christ didn't even come to save Israel. Christ came to save humanity, all of us. And the idea of Christian brotherhood transcends nationalism. We're not just brothers and sisters with people who are our fellow Americans. No, on the contrary, there's a kind of community of believers worldwide that does not pay any attention not only to race or to gender, but also to nationality. But my point is that by bringing Christianity, the adjective, and kind of attaching it to nationalism, the noun, we get a nationalism that is not purely nationalistic. We get a nationalism that's moderated by the idea in Christianity that, look, yes, we are here in America. We fight for America. We protect our fellow Americans. We're willing, under certain conditions, to give our life for our country. But let's remember that this life is not the only life. And let's remember also that there is a world out there, and God made us equal. We are moral equals in the eyes of God. That's a universal point. So this is really what I'm getting at. And then here's an article that comes out in Newsweek the next day by Zoe Strakowski. Trump ally defends Christian nationalism as good and healthy. And the article, by the way, not all that hostile, but it does quote Joseph Williams, a professor at Rutgers, saying, quote, Christian nationalists believe the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation, and that this foundation needs to be safeguarded or restored. Now, I've talked about this before on the podcast. I believe that this is true, but in a qualified sense. Obviously, I don't believe that the U.S. was started as a Christian nation in the sense that we would have an established a Christian religion. In fact, the Constitution, in its Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, says there'll be no establishment of religion, and I'm good with that. I think that's actually a clause intended to, and that did protect religion. So we're a Christian nation in the sense that Christianity informed the founding. Most of the founders were devout Christians. Even the ones that were not may not have subscribed to all of Christian theology, but they did subscribe to Christian morality. They understood the indispensability of Christian morals to the success of the infant republic. And so I think what's going on here, and it's a tactical move by Marjorie Taylor Greene and by me. The left thinks Christian nationalism is some kind of big insult. We're supposed to run away from the term because they invoke it as a slur. And my point is why? They've never given us a good reason. Now, I watched the show that Rachel Maddow did, at least some of it, where she basically makes a case against Christian nationalism. And she keeps talking about some guy named, I think it was, what was it, honey? L.K. Smith? Some guy no one's ever heard of. So, and she keeps going, L.K. Smith said, L.K. Smith said. And so here's my tweet, which kind of summarizes the Rachel Maddow show. Rachel Maddow's case against Christian nationalism is that there was a guy no one's ever heard of in the 1940s who said he was a Christian nationalist, and it turned out he was also a racist and an anti-Semite. And so, according to Rachel Maddow, no one today can use the term because that makes you just like the guy that no one's ever heard of. QED.
Explain the QED.
QED means the point has now been demonstrated.